Staff Sergeant Kara Jensen watched through her scope as 12 SEAL operators fought for their lives against 50 enemy fighters in the dense jungle below. At 29 years old, with dark brown hair and sharp gray eyes, she was positioned 5 kilometers from the firefight, not authorized to engage. But listening to Lieutenant Commander Marcus Hale's desperate radio calls, hearing ammunition counts dropping and casualties mounting, Kara grabbed her SR-25 semi-automatic sniper rifle with 200 rounds and started moving toward the gunfire, knowing she was violating orders to save 12 lives. The jungle stretched endlessly in all directions, a sea of green punctuated by distant gunfire that had been echoing for 3 hours. Staff Sergeant Kara Jensen listened to radio transmissions from her elevated observation post on a ridgeline overlooking the operational area. The mission had started simply. A SEAL reconnaissance team, 12 operators led by Lieutenant Commander Marcus Hale, had inserted at dawn to locate and observe an enemy supply depot. Intelligence indicated the depot was a logistics hub, and the SEALs were supposed to gather information and withdraw without contact. But intelligence had been catastrophically wrong. At 1100 hours, Hale reported locating the depot in a jungle clearing. His team was establishing observation when enemy forces sprung a prepared ambush. The SEALs found themselves taking fire from 3 directions. Not 10 fighters as predicted, but 50 to 60 combatants who'd been expecting them. Kara listened to Hale's initial contact report with professional detachment. Contact was always possible. The SEALs were trained and capable, but as the firefight dragged on, situation reports became grim. 3 SEALs wounded, ammunition low, enemy maneuvering for final assault, extraction helicopter 45 minutes out, jungle canopy made landing zone scarce. The SEALs were trapped, outnumbered 5 to 1. Kara's official mission was observation and communication relay. Her job was to watch, report, relay, not engage or provide direct support. But listening to Hale coordinate defense, hearing controlled desperation as he rationed ammunition and called for extraction that wouldn't arrive in time, Kara made a decision that would save lives or end her career. She keyed her radio. Overwatch to TOC, the SEAL element is heavily outnumbered and facing imminent danger. I'm moving to provide fire support. The response came sharp with alarm. Negative Overwatch. You are not authorized for direct action. Maintain observation position. Air support is en route. TOC, air support is 45 minutes out. The SEAL element doesn't have 45 minutes. I can reach them in 30 and provide precision fire. I have SR-25 with 200 rounds. Overwatch, you are explicitly ordered to maintain position. Moving to engage violates mission parameters. Kara switched off command frequency. She'd heard the order. She chose to disobey it. There would be consequences, but those mattered less than 12 lives. She grabbed her SR-25 semi-automatic sniper rifle and confirmed her load. 10 20-round magazines of 7.62 millimeter ammunition. The SR-25 wasn't standard. Most snipers preferred bolt-action rifles, but Kara had trained specifically on the SR-25 for moments like this. The SR-25 married long-range precision with semi-automatic fire. Instead of working a bolt after every shot, the SR-25 let her fire as quickly as she could squeeze the trigger and still maintain roughly 800-meter accuracy. In a target-rich fight, that edge mattered. Kara started moving toward the sound of gunfire. The jungle was thick, uneven underfoot, choked with vegetation, and visibility was poor. A triple canopy turned the forest floor into twilight. Vines snagged at gear. Roots and slick humus made footing dangerous. 5 kilometers of travel normally took 2 to 3 hours. Kara did it in 30 minutes. 6 months operating here had taught her how to read the ground. She knew which animal trails doubled as footpaths. She knew which streams offered concealed approaches. She knew which ridgelines gave cover and observation. That local knowledge paid off as the fighting grew louder. M4s cracked. The SEALs' fire punctuated by heavier AK-47 reports and sustained machine gun bursts. Kara could tell by sound which weapons were firing, and that disciplined as the SEALs were, they were being overwhelmed by volume. Within a kilometer, she began hunting a firing position. She needed height to see over the canopy, stable support for precise shots, concealment from enemy observation, and clear fields of fire. She found a tree, a massive trunk about 400 meters northwest of the clearing. The trunk measured roughly 3 meters across. The lowest strong branches started about 15 meters up. Higher still offered positions up to 40 meters. Kara climbed smoothly, rifle secured on her back, using natural handholds. At 40 feet, she settled into a perch. A broad horizontal limb and smaller offshoots made a usable rest for the rifle. She eased into position, distributing weight to avoid muscle fatigue. Through breaks in the leaves, she could make out the battlefield. The clearing was about 200 meters across, with depot structures on the western edge. The SEALs held a defensive ring on the eastern side, using fallen trees for cover. By muzzle flashes, Kara picked out individual positions. 12 operators forming a roughly circular perimeter some 30 meters across. Enemy forces pressed from north, west, and south, using the jungle to approach under suppressive fire. Through her scope, Kara counted roughly 45 to 50 fighters in view. The tactical picture was dire. The SEALs were boxed in on 3 sides, outnumbered about 5 to 1, low on ammo, with wounded who couldn't be moved. Without immediate help, their position would almost certainly be overrun within 30 to 45 minutes. Kara keyed the SEAL frequency. Hayes, this is Reaper 6. I'm in an elevated position 400 meters northwest with an SR-25 and 200 rounds. I can provide precision fire support. How copy? A pause. 3 or 4 seconds. Then Hayes's strained voice. Reaper 6, Hayes. We're not authorized for sniper support in this AO. You supposed to be here? Kara asked. Negative. Operating on my own initiative. You need fire support, I can provide it. Your call, Commander. Another pause. Gunfire in the background. Static and cracks. Reaper 6, we're outnumbered 5 to 1, 3 wounded, down to maybe 30 rounds per man. If you can help, we need it now. Roger. Give me targets by priority. I'll start with command elements and heavy weapons. Copy. Command element approximately 150 meters north of our position. Large tree with white bark. Kara scanned north through canopy breaks and found the white-barked tree. At its base, a cluster of fighters had gathered, clearly a command conference. 4 or 5 men, one directing the assault with gestures and a radio. One gestured toward the SEAL position, another barked into a handset. 2 ran off with orders. Laser rangefinder read 425 meters, well within the SR-25's effective range. Semi-automatic fire let her engage all 4 in rapid succession. With a bolt action, she might drop 2 before the rest scattered. The SR-25 allowed a single, overwhelming burst that preserved surprise. She settled into shooting position. Muscle memory from thousands of drills took over. Weight distributed, rifle braced on a limb, forward hand steady. Eye behind the scope, breath controlled, trigger finger poised. Through glass, the command element resolved into uniforms, weapons, faces, real people she was about to kill. That fact never vanished. Kara had made peace with it. These men were trying to kill a dozen Americans. She had the means to stop them. She placed the crosshair on the man giving orders, exhaled, and eased the trigger. The rifle cracked. The suppressor softened but didn't hide the report. The commander slumped. Kara didn't call confirmation. The SR-25 was already chambered for the next shot. She transitioned to the fighter on the radio and fired. He fell. The third turned, confused. Kara's third round dropped him. The fourth broke and ran. Her fourth round caught him. 4 command personnel went down in under 10 seconds. Fighters around the clearing froze, confused and panicked, unable to locate the shot's origin. Command element north, neutralized. 4 down, what's next? Kara asked. Reaper 6, machine gun west, suppressing us hard, approximately 200 meters behind a large fallen log. We can't angle on it without exposing to direct fire. Kara shifted observation west, scanning methodically until movement caught her eye. 2 fighters manned a PKM, hunkered behind a fallen tree and pouring rounds into the SEAL position. Range about 380 meters, partly concealed, but a viable target area. She fired twice in quick succession, less than 2 seconds between shots. Both gunners collapsed. The PKM fell silent. West machine gun neutralized. Western perimeter has freedom of movement. Confirmed, Reaper 6. The difference was immediate. We can maneuver now. Over the next 20 minutes, Kara engaged priority targets systematically. Hale called out threats, heavy weapons, massing fighters, assault coordinators, and Kara answered with precise semi-automatic fire. A second machine gun on the southeastern approach was next. 2 fighters down. PKM silenced, 6 enemy clustered in a depression, preparing a coordinated rush. Kara fired as they emerged, cutting 4 before survivors scattered. 3 fighters closed dangerously, prepping grenades. 3 rapid shots stopped them before they could throw. An enemy leader stood exposed, directing 10 fighters into assault positions. 1 round, he dropped. The assault lost cohesion. The SR-25's semi-automatic rate proved decisive. In every engagement, Kara put multiple aimed rounds on target before the enemy could identify her position. A bolt action would have limited her to 1 or 2 kills at best. The SR-25 let her eliminate 3, 4, sometimes 5 targets in a heartbeat. Her elevated perch magnified that advantage. The enemy couldn't find her. Shots arrived from unexpected elevation and direction. From above, she had observation and concealment, clear lines where ground shooters saw only vegetation. By the time she cycled the first magazine, 20 rounds, she'd taken down 16 to 17 fighters and silenced 3 heavy weapons. The assault stalled. She reloaded tactically, magazine swap under 3 seconds, muscle memory guiding her hands. The second magazine focused on breaking offensive capability. Every time fighters gathered to plan or rally, she engaged. Every time heavy weapons were re-established, she eliminated the crews before they could fire. The psychological toll was brutal. Confident attackers who'd expected numerical and terrain advantage suddenly bled casualties from an unseen shooter firing impossibly fast. Leadership was erased, heavy weapons silenced, coordination crippled. Each attempted regroup produced more losses. Confusion rippled through enemy ranks. Kara watched fighters start peering around nervously, hiding longer, hesitating to move. What had been a bold, aggressive assault decayed into cautious defense. Hayes, enemy fighters withdrawing on your northern flank. They're losing appetite for this, she reported. Confirmed, Reaper 6. Pressure has dropped significantly. Your fire support just changed the entire fight's dynamic. What's your extraction status? Kara asked. Bird's 15 minutes out. Hale replied. We've got a possible landing zone about 100 meters east, but it's exposed on approach. Can you cover our move? Affirmative. Move when ready. I'll hit anyone who pursues or tries to flank. The SEAL team began a tactical withdrawal, half moving while the other half provided covering fire, switching seamlessly in bounding overwatch. Textbook discipline, years of training. Kara maintained overwatch through it all. When enemy fighters chased, she engaged at 450 meters, dropping 3 and forcing the rest into cover. When another element flanked south, she took out 2 leaders, breaking their maneuver. By the time the SEALs reached the landing zone and secured it for extraction, Kara had fired 73 rounds from her original 200. She'd engaged 60 to 70 targets, achieving around 47 to 50 confirmed kills. The remaining fighters, 15 to 20 at most, had lost all initiative. No more coordinated attacks. They stayed hidden, defensive, unwilling to advance against an unseen sniper delivering merciless precision. Reaper 6, extraction bird on final, Hale called. Copy, Kara replied. I'll maintain overwatch until you're airborne, then move back to my observation post. Still have enough ammo and a clear route. Understood. Reaper 6, my entire team would be dead without you. We were down to 20 rounds per man, 3 wounded we couldn't move, enemy closing from 3 sides. We'd accepted we were dying here. Then you started shooting, and suddenly we had a chance. From all 12 of us. Thank you. Just doing what had to be done, Commander. Get your people home safe. Kara scanned the battlefield as the CH-47 Chinook descended. Its twin rotors made it vulnerable during landing. If the enemy had heavy weapons, they could have taken it down. But they didn't try. Her devastating fire had clearly convinced them that engagement meant certain death. The SEALs boarded fast. Wounded first, then security. Hale last off the zone. The Chinook lifted, climbing above the canopy and banking east toward friendly lines. Only then did Kara move. She climbed down carefully, slung her rifle, and checked the perimeter for any sign her position had been compromised. The jungle was silent. The enemy had melted away, their fight gone after the extraction. Kara started the 5-kilometer trek back to Camp Ravenwood, deliberate and efficient. She monitored radio chatter for pursuit. None came. As adrenaline faded, reality settled in. She'd broken orders, left her assigned post, and engaged without authorization. Serious violations, reprimand, demotion, even court-martial. But she'd saved 12 Americans. 12 operators who would have been captured or killed were now heading home alive. Whatever the consequences, that was something Kara Jensen could live with and never regret. 3 days later, Staff Sergeant Kara Jensen stood at attention in Colonel David Monroe's office. Monroe led the Special Operations Task Force and had a reputation for being demanding but fair. 20 years in Special Operations before taking command. Staff Sergeant Jensen, Monroe said, expression neutral as he reviewed documents. I've been reading the after-action reports from the SEAL extraction 3 days ago. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Hale submitted a detailed account of what he calls unauthorized, but absolutely critical fire support that prevented his team from being overrun. He also provided some remarkable statistics. Yes, sir, Kara replied. According to reports, I was assigned to Observation and Communications Relay at Overwatch 3. Mission orders were explicit. Maintain observation, provide relay, report enemy activity. Orders did not include engaging the enemy, conducting fire support, or moving from assigned position, correct? Correct, Monroe confirmed. Mission orders were observation and relay only. Yet when I monitored SEAL contact with enemy forces, I decided to abandon position, move 5 kilometers through hostile terrain, and conduct solo precision fire support against 50-plus fighters, also correct. Kara continued. Yes, sir. When I heard the SEAL situation reports and realized they faced imminent danger with no support available in time, I chose to move to a position where I could provide fire support. You made that decision after being explicitly ordered by Tactical Operations Center to maintain position and not engage. Yes, sir. I received that order and chose to disobey. Monroe leaned back, studying her. Staff Sergeant, what you did represents serious violations. Disobeying direct orders, abandoning your assigned mission, engaging outside authorized rules, operating independently without coordination. These aren't minor matters. These are fundamental breaches of the chain of command and operational discipline. I understand, sir, Kara answered. If I pursue this officially, I could face court-martial. Charges would be severe. Potential reduction in rank, forfeiture of pay, confinement, dishonorable discharge. I understand that. I accept responsibility for my actions, and I'm prepared to face whatever consequences you determine appropriate, she added. Monroe nodded slowly. Now that we've established the regulations, let me tell you the reality. He opened a file and pulled out documents. Lieutenant Commander Hale recommended you for the Silver Star. His recommendation includes statements from all 12 team members. Every operator had submitted written testimony supporting it, unanimous in saying that without your intervention, their team would have been overrun and killed or captured. Monroe laid out more paperwork. Hale's tactical report details you engaging 60 to 70 fighters over 35 minutes, achieving 47 to 50 confirmed eliminations. You systematically neutralized command elements, silenced 3 heavy weapons, broke multiple assaults, and provided such effective support that the enemy's 5-to-1 advantage evaporated. Hale specifically noted the SR-25 semi-automatic's role as crucial. Rate of fire let her engage multiple targets rapidly, stopping the enemy from massing for an assault. Hale's report even quotes, Staff Sergeant Jensen's actions represent the most effective individual fire support I've seen in 15 years of combat operations. Monroe closed the folder and looked Kara in the eye. So here's my dilemma, Staff Sergeant. By regulation, you deserve court-martial for multiple violations, but by sound tactical assessment, you made the right call. You recognized that following orders would mean 12 Americans dying when you had the capability to save them. You prioritized mission success, bringing Americans home alive, over procedural compliance. You executed with exceptional skill and effect. Kara. Monroe held up a hand. Let me finish. I've been in special operations over 20 years. I've commanded at every level, from team leader to task force. What separates truly exceptional operators from merely competent ones isn't marksmanship, fitness, or tactical knowledge. It's judgment. The ability to see when the situation has changed from the plan, when orders no longer match reality, and when initiative matters more than blind obedience. That kind of judgment is something we try to teach, but honestly, people either have it or they don't. He walked to the window overlooking base. You displayed it. You assessed the situation, recognized the approved plan was inadequate, and made a command decision to act. Violating orders but saving lives. That's exactly the kind of decision-making special operations needs when there's no time for permission and stakes are lives. So here's what I'm doing. I will note in your record that you operated outside mission parameters during the SEAL extraction, that notation stays. However, I'm also recording that your independent action directly resulted in the successful extraction of 12 personnel who otherwise would have been casualties. I'm approving Hale's Silver Star recommendation, and I'm reassigning you from general observation to permanent direct action support for SEAL operations. Kara felt surprise flicker, but kept her professional composure. "Sir," she began. The SR-25 was exactly the right weapon for that engagement. Semi-automatic precision enabling rapid multiple-target engagement in a target-rich environment. You demonstrated employment techniques and an effectiveness most snipers never master. I want you working directly with SEAL teams as dedicated precision fire support and training other snipers in semi-automatic employment. Your judgment and skills are too valuable in observation duty. Let me be clear. I don't regret violating orders. If the situation recurs, I'd make the same choice," Kara said. Monroe gave a small, approving smile. "I know. That's exactly why I'm making this assignment. Special operations needs people who understand that following orders and accomplishing the mission are usually the same thing, but not always. We need operators who recognize those rare moments when orders are wrong and something more important is at stake. You've shown you have that judgment. Now use it where it matters most." 2 weeks later, Staff Sergeant Kara Jensen was officially reassigned to direct SEAL team support. Whenever teams faced superior numbers or difficult situations, she would accompany them or establish overwatch, supplying precision fire that shifted the tactical balance. The SR-25 became her signature weapon. While most snipers still favored bolt-action rifles, Kara emerged as the service's leading advocate for semi-automatic sniper employment. She developed tactics, techniques, and procedures that leveraged the SR-25's rapid-fire capability to dominate target-rich environments. Scenarios where an enemy's numerical advantage could be negated by systematically removing key personnel. Over the next 6 months, Kara supported 8 SEAL operations in jungle terrain. Each mission reinforced the lessons from her first engagement. On one operation, 8 operators ran into 40 fighters. Kara provided overwatch from an elevated position 500 meters away and engaged 27 fighters in 12 minutes of sustained precision fire, breaking the assault before it developed and allowing the SEALs to withdraw with 0 casualties. During a headquarters raid, SEALs came under fire from multiple buildings as a larger-than-estimated reaction force responded. From 600 meters on high ground, Kara systematically engaged fighters visible through windows and firing positions. 31 enemies eliminated in 8 minutes, letting the SEALs complete the mission and extract. When a SEAL observation post was discovered and a 50-man response rushed in, Kara's precision fire targeted enemy leadership and heavy weapons crews. Her engagement shattered the assault before it became sustained. The enemy withdrew after suffering 19 casualties. Forces in the region began whispering her name, the ghost who shoots thunder. They spoke of shots from directions they couldn't identify and semi-automatic fire so fast it sounded like multiple snipers. A year after the event that made her name, Kara ran an advanced course for snipers assigned to Special Operations Support. 40 experienced shooters from various services attended. On the first day, a student asked the question on everyone's mind. "Staff Sergeant, everyone in the sniper community heard about saving that SEAL team. The numbers seem impossible. 50 enemies in 35 minutes by one shooter. How'd you do that?" Kara had answered that query many times, never the same way twice, tailoring lessons to each audience. With this group of seasoned snipers, she emphasized foundational tactical principles. "Numbers aren't impossible if you understand what actually happened," she began. I didn't engage 50 fighters in straight-up firefight. I provided precision fire from a position of overwhelming tactical advantage against a force that couldn't find me, couldn't return effective fire, and couldn't coordinate because I systematically eliminated anyone providing leadership. She pulled up jungle terrain imagery on the screen and pointed out why the environment mattered. The thick vegetation limited the enemy's ability to mass or coordinate effectively. The canopy blocked sightlines, making it nearly impossible for them to pinpoint an elevated shooter. The jungle's acoustic quirks also made locating the gunfire source extremely difficult. From above, I had position, elevation, observation, and surprise, factors that made the engagement far less one-sided than raw numbers implied. A student raised the obvious follow-up. Staff Sergeant, you used an SR-25. Most of us were taught bolt-action rifles are superior for precision. Why go semi-automatic? Kara replied that this was the single most important tactical lesson. The SR-25 was critical. In that target-rich environment, the ability to engage multiple targets quickly without breaking contact to cycle a bolt was decisive. With a bolt action, I might have taken out 20 or 30 targets in the same window. That wouldn't have been enough. The SEAL team would likely have been overrun while I worked a bolt. Semi-automatic capability let me match the tempo of the tactical situation. She walked through a simple comparison of engagement times. Even a highly skilled bolt shooter needs 2 to 3 seconds between rounds to work the action, reacquire, and fire. With the SR-25, my interval between shots dropped below 1 second, just the time to shift aim and press the trigger. Over 35 minutes, that rate multiplied into roughly 3 times the target engagement capacity. Another hand went up. Staff Sergeant, you disobeyed direct orders. How do you decide to break them? What if you're wrong? Kara said she expected that question. Teaching judgment is the hardest part. Most of the time, following orders and accomplishing the mission are the same thing. The chain of command exists for good reasons, and coordination usually beats lone initiative. But there are rare moments when written orders no longer reflect reality, when following procedure leads to failure or needless casualties, and action can prevent that. She paused, choosing words deliberately. When I heard the SEALs' reports, outnumbered 5-1, low on ammo, wounded, no support due in time, I had to make a judgment call. If I stayed put under orders, 12 Americans would almost certainly die. If I moved and provided fire support, I might save them, but would violate orders and risk court-martial. When you frame the choice that way, career consequences versus American lives, it isn't really a hard call. But how can you be sure you made the right one? A student pressed. What if the situation wasn't as bad? What if support was on the way? What if you made things worse? You never know for certain, Kara admitted. You make the best assessment you can with available information, then accept responsibility for the outcome. In that case, I judged the SEAL team was in immediate danger of being overrun. No official support would arrive in time, and I had the unique capability to intervene. The assessment proved correct, but if I'd been wrong, I would still have owned the consequences. She looked at the 40 seasoned snipers in the room, most with multiple deployments. Here's what I want you to understand. Initiative is valuable, but it isn't the same as disobedience. Initiative is recognizing when the situation has changed and adapting while remaining aligned with the commander's intent. Disobedience is substituting your judgment for the commander's when you shouldn't. The difference is subtle and crucial. In that jungle, the commander's intent was to support special operations missions. My assigned task was observation, but the mission's actual need was fire support. I changed the approach to match reality while staying true to intent. A Marine in the back objected. Staff Sergeant, with respect. That sounds like rationalizing disobedience after the fact. You were explicitly ordered to stay put and not engage. How is that not insubordination? Kara nodded. You're right, she said. I disobeyed a direct order. I won't pretend otherwise. The Tactical Operations Center told me explicitly to maintain position. I chose not to. That was insubordination by the book. But there's a distinction. I didn't disobey because I believed I was always smarter than my commanders. I disobeyed because I had real-time information they didn't. The SEALs' situation reports, the dwindling ammo, the wounded, and an extraction 45 minutes out. I showed the timeline. The team had been in contact 3 hours, reported about 30 rounds per man, with 3 wounded, and the enemy massing for a final assault. Extraction 45 minutes away. The math was simple. They didn't have 45 minutes. Someone needed to act immediately, and I was the only person in a position to do it. The discussion ran another hour. Tactical decision-making, rules of engagement, risk assessment, command relationships, questions these officers had wrestled with all their careers. How to balance initiative and discipline, empower subordinates while retaining control, build organizations both effective and accountable. 6 months later, Kara was promoted to Sergeant First Class and named Senior Sniper Instructor for Special Operations Forces. She changed how the service employed semi-automatic sniper rifles, proving through combat and testing that semi-automatic platforms give decisive advantages in target-rich environments. Her doctrine emphasized matching the weapon to the situation. Long-range interdiction against single high-value targets favored bolt action for extreme accuracy, while direct action support at close to medium ranges with multiple targets favored semi-automatic rifles optimized for rapid engagement. Each tool had its place, and effective operators had to know when to use which. The training program Kara developed became the standard for Special Operations sniper support. Every sniper attached to SEAL teams, Army Special Forces, and other direct action elements went through her course, learning not just marksmanship but tactical judgment, how to read the battlefield, prioritize targets, and provide fire that changed tactical dynamics rather than merely adding volume. A year after her promotion, the Silver Star ceremony finally took place. The medal had been approved months earlier, but coordinating schedules with Hale and his team took time because of deployments. The ceremony at the Special Operations Compound drew perhaps 100 personnel, senior commanders, Hale and his 12-man team, and many of the snipers Kara had trained. A citation was read, carefully worded to praise her exceptional precision fire support in combat, without explicitly recounting that she'd violated orders. Kara stood at attention, feeling the strange contradiction of being honored for valor, while a notation in her record documented she'd operated outside mission parameters, success and violation wrapped together. After the medal was pinned, Hale and his team stepped forward carrying something else, a hand-carved wooden plaque. Sergeant First Class Jensen, Hale said formally, then shifted to a more personal tone. Kara, my team wanted you to have something that means more than official recognition. He presented the plaque, an intricate carving of an SR-25 framed by jungle foliage. Beneath it, a simple inscription, "To the ghost who shoots thunder, 12 lives saved by one shooter who refused to let protocol outweigh conscience. With eternal gratitude, SEAL Team 7. I don't know what to say, Kara managed. You don't need to say anything, Hale replied. We wanted you to have something that reminds you what you did. The official medal goes in a service record and honors the institution. This is from us to you, soldier to soldier. So you know we understand what you risked for people you'd never met. Senior Chief Logan Price stepped forward. "Ma'am, we've talked about that day a lot," he said, voices low with the weight of it. "We've analyzed what happened, tactically and strategically, and we keep coming back to one truth," Logan Price said. "We were dead. The math was clear. Outnumbered 5-1, almost out of ammo, wounded, no way to evacuate. The enemy closing from 3 sides. We'd fought well, but fighting well doesn't mean much when you're surrounded and out of bullets." "Another," SEAL added. "Then you started firing, and it was like someone rewrote the entire battle. Suddenly the enemy couldn't coordinate because you eliminated everyone directing them. Their heavy weapons went quiet. Their assault teams took losses faster than they could push forward. Within 15 minutes, we went from bracing for a last stand to realizing we might actually survive. What you did wasn't just incredible shooting," Price continued. "That SR-25 work was the best sniper support any of us ever witnessed. But what mattered most was that you recognized we needed help, and you acted. You didn't wait for permission, didn't worry whether it was authorized. You heard brothers in trouble and you moved. That makes you one of us, no matter what uniform or service patch you wear." Staff Sergeant Kara Jensen had disobeyed orders, left her mission, and carried out an unauthorized solo engagement against 50 enemy fighters to save 12 SEALs from being wiped out. The SEALs went home alive. Kara earned a Silver Star and a career dedicated to training the next generation, not just to shoot straight, but to think clearly, act decisively, and make the hard calls that separate competent soldiers from exceptional warriors. Because sometimes the difference between following orders and doing what's right is a single choice. One that defines not just a career, but the lives saved, and the lessons that reshape how an entire force understands courage, judgment, and the responsibility to act when good people's lives hang in the balance. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Old Bill's Tales for more powerful stories of brave women in uniform.